Welcome to 100% Woo Podcast, your weekly dose of magical wisdom. So first things first, you do not need to tattoo a snake on your arm, go to Burning Man with your spiritual besties, or ditch your therapist in order to step into the badass, powerful soul who effortlessly attracts money, magic, and inner peace into your world. Isn't that good news? Now, if you have heard influential women talk about leaving hustle for flow, admitting to doing sex magic in order to manifest abundance in their lives, or casually mention something called a dark night of the soul, even crediting their own intuition for some of their most successful decisions that they've made, they mention things like shadow work or reducing their mom rage with microdosing mushrooms, and you're sitting there going, some of this sounds really cool, and sometimes I just don't really get what's really going on, then this show is made for you. Here's the thing. Your soul, it's already deeply spiritual. So it's okay for your mind to simply just be curious right now. What we're here to do is to awaken that inner knowing that's already deeply tucked away inside of you, and to explore in a transformational journey how to align your reality to your soul's truth. So join me every week as we dive into topics like spiritual awakening, empaths, self-care, highly sensitive people, dealing into how to heal generational, karmic, past life traumas, how to regulate your nervous system, balance your energy. We'll discuss practical strategies for achieving balance without having to sacrifice all of the success that you've already worked hard for. And together we'll explore how to engage with your spiritual support system. Yes, that means spirit guides, and unlock the magic that's been waiting inside of you all along. So if that sounds good, go ahead and subscribe to 100% Woo Podcast, and let's embark on this magical journey together. Welcome back. I am so excited for today's interview with my friend Eden Carpenter. She is one of the youngest human design experts on the planet right now, and a deep old soul. So much magic, so much neurodivergent high priestess vibes with Eden. She is truly an impressive human. We have a lot of interesting commonalities in just the way we were raised. She's the oldest of 8 children, raised in a very evangelical homeschool Christian environment, which was very similar to the way I was raised. She was a competitive gymnast, very talented gymnast, and then was on a track and was a nurse, and went to school to become a nurse. Her mother's a nurse, sort of something that felt really important for her. And then she fell in love with human design. And not just fell in love, just went on a complete neurodivergent rabbit trail and started to see the body graph of human design, which, if you aren't familiar, is a beautiful way to measure your soul's energetic blueprint and what you incarnated here to express and experience energetically. And she started to give readings and then quickly built courses and became one of the leading experts who blends her intuition, which is a beautiful gift that she has. And you're going to hear her channel and really go into some incredibly profound transmissions here on this episode. And she is just such a beautiful soul. I'm so gifted to call her sister and friend. I'm so deeply grateful that you get to connect with us and listen to this conversation, which is really less of an interview and more of just friends conversing around what's moving through in our lives. So enjoy. Eden, welcome to 100% Woo Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here and honored.
Thank you. I'm so happy we made this work.
Yes. For those of you who can appreciate the creative deep dives and flow states that we get into, Eden and I have tried a few times to get this podcast to happen, and it happened on the perfect day, and the energy's right. We're both in such a good vibe, and we're so excited.
We are.
So what brought me into Eden's world? Well, we were part of an intimate coaching space for a while. So we got to journey with each other around using our voices and the vulnerability around our throat chakra. And for those of you that do not know Eden yet, she is a total genius. I say this with not trying to be cute. I actually really mean that word. And she's really gifted in understanding energy And whether that's through human design or your intuitive gifts, like I think you just have a gift of seeing how energetics is driving people, and influencing the world, like in larger themes.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw you sharing on social media how you were really feeling drawn in your soul to slow down, my neurodivergent brain like picks up on this pattern of, oh, pretty much all the women that I very much admire and see as respected voices in my world have all been saying it's time to slow down. And I was like, can we go talk about this? Because I want to know what it is for you and what you're sensing from a collective around the slowdown in the feminine.
Yes. So I'm still working with Allison one on one. And so it came up in a session with her actually, where she was saying, first of all, your year doesn't start until April. And I was really mad about that. I'm like, no, it starts in January. I'm going to make sure it starts in January. And I have been in a season of completion, and there has
Mm,
been a lot of a lot of deconditioning behind the scenes with my family that
mm,
to protect privacy, like I can't speak about online as much
fair.
as I typically would talk about like anything that I am going through. And so there's been this almost hermit energy, this
Mm,
stepping back energy. And intuition said, you need to spend 60% of your time, energy, and attention on your home life,
mm,
on yourself, and on your marriage, and only 40% in your business. And I thought for a while that I had this balance thing figured out. And then I realized that I was waking up, doing whatever I had to get done out of the way, and then diving into work. And it was showing up in my priorities were shifting. So if I was
mm,
really in a creative space, even though it was like getting close to dinner time or something, I would be ignoring that and just pushing things off that is actually the foundation of my spirituality. And so there's different
mm,
gates in human design that you can look at to see what are things that your soul really needs. And for me, it happens to be detailed routines. I do
mm.
need structure and routine at some level, and I was allowing my business to really run my life, and I was just fitting in my life around that.
Mm.
And I've thought this, like, we've kind of been on this, in the next few years we're probably going to start a family, and I've had this like, okay, once I have kids or something, then I'll be able to build a routine around their schedule and things like that. And it hit me of, no, that will only further pull me out of any
Yeah.
routines that I already have. It will just be another distraction for me to fully dive into and lose myself a little
Mm,
bit. And so I was a little frustrated at first when intuition was like, no, you need to be taking over some of the chores that your husband has taken on, and just really playing with this homemaker energy, and very not in a trad wife energy at all, but more of a, I am here to just like play with my environment. And
mm,
there's been such powerful energetic shifts since
mm.
doing that. And it's been really incredible to see, like, I've burnt down some things and changed some things and kind of rebranded a few years ago, and I never really got around to creating a new website. Like, I had pages with links and offers, and you could click around and find things if you really needed to, but it was a mess. And it was just this digital mess for like 2 years. And all of the sudden, once I was in this, okay, my house needs to be clean, I'm raising my standards.
Mm,
I'm physically raising the standards around my house as well. So instead of, we'll just deep clean on the weekend, there's like little tidying things that I'm doing every day. It's like this maintenance
mm,
instead. And something about deep cleaning my house and having this like clean house energy gave me the energetics that I needed to clean up my digital home as well. And so all of the sudden, after like 2 weeks of focusing on, okay, I'm going to get some laundry done. I'm just going to fold this laundry, and I'm going to pour
mm.
love and presence into everything. And instead of rushing and feeling like this is a distraction, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, this is annoying, why do I have to maintain my life? I'm seeing that I can do everything with intention, and I'm weaving energetics, and I'm playing with magic, even though I'm folding laundry and doing
Yeah.
dishes and scrubbing my baseboards and things like that. So it turned into this, oh, that's right, there's physical embodiment. And so sometimes when your intuition is called to rearrange furniture, go through closets, there's energy that's moving there as well. And I was just seeing this connection between the environment and your energetics as well, and how the fact that there were, closets that just had stuff like in a bin, it's there, it's fine, it's contained chaos. That contained chaos was still, it was representing like contained chaos in my own mind
Mm,
of things that I wasn't ready to dive into, things that I was bottling up, things that I was just shoving in a closet to deal with at some point. And with my Saturn return starting in like 3 months, intuition and the universe is really saying, hey, it's time to clean things up because everything is about to change. So that's what I shared was just, hey, intuition is telling me to do this. And tons of people reached out and said, one, thank you for sharing this because I've been feeling the same way. And I thought I was just like lazy and just didn't have the energy and just needed to disconnect. But it really is, it's the foundation.
mm.
And I feel like we are stepping into big seasons where a lot of the energy workers are going to be doing, we're being called to really step into our power. And so, in order to do that, our nervous system has to be regulated, our human has to be grounded. And that starts with environment. It really
Yeah.
does. If you are in the wrong environment, it doesn't matter how much nervous system regulation you're doing. If you're thinking about the right things, you're saying the right affirmations in the wrong environment, that energy still won't be able to flow and move. So that was what I shared that got this conversation initiated. And here we are.
It's so good. I've been using my liberated lightworker energy clearing system that I channeled this last Lionsgate portal. And I've had so many people recently say, like, gosh, I just feel like this stuck energy. And we'll use the pendulum and the charts, and it'll almost always take me to environment and clutter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so practical and it's so like obvious, but not, because like sometimes we make it so big, like, oh, there must be some really cosmic big thing holding me back and this
Yeah, it's
huge
eclipse
block.
season.
Right. It's eclipse season. There's a retrograde, like something massively is out of alignment in my world. And it's like, actually, it makes sense, especially, and I don't know if this is just a neurodivergent thing, but like it really does impact me to see a clean space and
Yeah.
to dress in a way that I'm like, I'm put together for my day. My intention is to really enjoy my aesthetic, or like to love on the things that I own, and to know that each one of those items holds an energy charge, and I can either neglect it and abandon it and make it murky, or I can love it and pour intention into it and then realize my entire shell of my life is alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking and turning the very normal things and creating magic in what's normal.
Yeah.
Which also reminds me of a tagline of one of your products, which is, or
Mm-hmm.
services, magic in the mundane, or mundane
Yeah.
magic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved that. I was like, that's genius. Of course, Eden comes up with these
Yeah,
taglines.
I taught this program last year called Mundane Magic, and it starts with environment. It is about your environment, your home, your senses, because
Mm,
in our environment, in our human design, we have two different senses. And so yours is feeling for both. You have feeling cognition and feeling resonance, which is related to your environment. I have closed taste cognition, and I have our closed taste cognition and what is it? Touch sense in my
mm,
environment. And so my skin is really sensitive to my environment. And so I can tell different things of like if I travel to different locations and all of a
mm.
sudden I'm breaking out in hives, I'm getting a sun rash, I'm like everything is eating me alive. That's not a great environment for me to be in. So
Yeah.
my skin will literally tell me about places I like or places I don't like. And I was realizing like my skin's not super clear right now. It's like kind of dry, even though something like we live in Florida, it's really humid here. And my skin wasn't feeling super healthy. And I haven't changed anything about like my skincare routine or anything like that. And my skin feels better now that my environment is clearer. And so it was just so interesting to see that even though I taught this and I was playing with these concepts last year, the universe was saying, hey, you need to take this embodiment to the next level. It's not just It's not just teaching it, it's not just understanding it. And I
Yeah.
was focusing on it last year, or I thought I was focusing on it, but there was still this let me fit life into the cracks between my business. It was just a priority shift that I needed to change as well for this year. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Tell me a little bit about how your intuition speaks to you and how you experience it.
Yes, it is very visual. If there's the opposite of aphantasia, that's what I have, where I can visualize
Wait, I don't even know what
anything.
aphantasia is, and I'm laughing already. So tell me. I gotta learn.
Aphantasia is the inability to visualize. When
Okay.
people say visualize an apple and they get
Yeah.
static, blank screen. And I visualize an apple. I'm like, okay, I'm in the middle of the grocery store.
Yeah.
There's all the green ones there. There's the golden ones there. There's the red ones there. We've got the little baskets. We could like visualize one on a plate. It's been cut. It's like I can see all of the different things. I can visualize an apple sitting on my desk right here. If I wanted to just like put a little tiara on you, I now see you wearing a crown and it's gorgeous. Kind of looks like a sticker, but
Oh
I don't know,
my
just the
gosh.
way that it popped up. So it's very visual for me, and it's been increasing. So a few weeks
Of course.
ago, we went to the mall. I needed my ring cleaned. We were doing some like fun anniversary things, and we're on the second floor of this mall, and we're going towards the stairs, and there's this woman walking up the stairs, and I get this image of her just falling and dropping all of her bags and her bags spilling everywhere. And I'm like, okay, shake that off. Really funky, intuitive, just like intrusive thought is what I assumed it was. And we get a few steps closer and she trips on the top step and I catch her. And so she didn't fall and drop everything, but she did fall. And I saw it before it happened. And
Wow.
previously I'm at the park with my nieces and nephews, and I'm like, oh, you could just like fall off of that or something. So I'm just standing in a safer position, and nothing usually happens. But this was an interesting moment where I saw it, and then it actually happened and kind of shook me up for a second. I was like, that,
Yeah.
I just saw that. Yep, I
Yeah.
just peered into the future there. And I told my husband, and he said, well, that was rude of you to psychically trip her. Just jokingly, of like, you
Of
should use
course.
your manifesting
Like,
powers for
right.
something
He
better.
respects your powers enough to know you could be both the cause and the solution to the
Yep,
same thing.
pretty much. So yeah, it's
Oh, but
very
I've had
visual.
moments like that. That's so interesting. I remember as a kid in school, school was interesting because I would get so bored. I would just visualize my future
Hmm.
in such deep information. Like daydreaming was like what other people call what was happening for me. And I was like, oh no, I'm just in a different, whole
Oh yeah,
different reality right now. Like this is not as real to me as what I'm imagining. This is so
yeah,
cool.
it
Very
is.
awesome.
How does your intuition show up?
Well, at first, it was really hard to discern. I think I struggled because visuals were the last to come online for me. And I had had people say that your face actually shows what your most strong sense will be
Mm.
psychically. Like if you have big eyes into like you're clairvoyant, if your ears are larger, you're clairaudient. And then I've still not fully been able to grasp like, so what with senses, like a round face, like, and I don't feel like I have a satisfactory answer around that, but it was more of just like the hearing and the seeing was actually a
Mhm.
physical attribute that could be witnessed. So for me, it was hearing. And the way I would hear was I would describe it as like a thought that I know isn't mine just entered my space. And I'm resonating it as true.
Yeah.
So it's coming in, I'm clear, I'm like, oh, it's not mine, but it's true. And it's funny because my mom, who is a very Christian woman who thinks like I'm off the deep end here in the spiritual realm, and I
My name
recognize
is
her as
literally Eden.
right, right. We share a lot of similarities in the way we were raised from just what we're willing to acknowledge in this podcast. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of similarities. And so, but I honor a lot of things she taught me about intuition without that language.
Mm.
She would say like God will speak to you as like a voice that you can hear and you know it's true. And
Yeah.
what she was describing was clairaudience.
Mhm.
And I would know as a child, like that thought's not mine, but does it resonate as true as like a discernment piece? And if it does, then I recognize it as a voice of the divine. And so that's how my intuition started working.
That makes sense. Yeah, you have
Why? What do you see in my
gate
chart?
61. Yeah, because of course I have your
You
human
have my
design chart
chart.
up. Yeah.
Which
Gate
gate is it? Gate
61,
1?
61
Oh,
in the head
61.
center. It's the middle one in the
Okay.
head center. It's known as the gate of claircognizance, where it's
Mm-hmm.
just clear knowing. And
Yep.
so inspiration and information comes into you almost backwards with its answer
Yes.
first. And so you're
Yes.
watching a movie and like the first scene, you're like, that's the murderer. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know why.
totally.
I don't know how. I have no rationale behind this, but like there's just this knowing of it's that one. And
Yeah.
then it kind of works backwards where it will gather information and start to understand why that answer
Mm-hmm.
is the answer. And then with your fifth tones in your like your feeling, yeah, you're feeling cognition, you're feeling senses in your variables. The fifth tone, it's a little bit psychic, but it also really deals with vibration and sound because the
Yeah.
fifth environment color is about valleys, which you also have, which deals with sound. And so
Yeah.
it tells me, I mean, you told me earlier before the call, like you got chills, those
Mm-hmm.
shivers where you just have this sense of I can feel that the room is
Yeah.
wrong. I can feel that something's off. And it really has to deal with it's dealing with the auditory vibrations that you're picking up on. So yeah, that makes sense.
I love it. I love it so much. And it's funny because the one gift that I wanted the most was the clairvoyance, because that's like the typical psychic gift of like, I can just see the future. And I was like, I know that I have it. And it took me a while, and it actually took me just being grateful for what is showing up in my space, and not being a brat. Like,
Yeah.
spirit, I just want to be blah, blah, blah. And if it's not coming in this way, then it's not real intuition and I can't like charge for it. And people won't understand what I'm saying or like whatever my block was. So I
Yeah.
started to just be thankful for like every time I would know something, as you said. Um, and every time I could validate it, because I think sometimes when we're building our intuition, when we have clear knowing and even receiving thought or just knowing that's just dropping into our bodies,
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes awkward to know how to validate that. And so anytime I could get a validation was like huge. And I would start celebrating it, because there's moments where like you just can't in society go and ask someone to validate something you just picked up about them. Like, it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah. You're like, I know I've never met you. Are you pregnant?
Right. Oh my gosh, this happened with an influencer where I was at an event and she was alluding to something and I was like, oh, she's pregnant. But of course I had just met her and I was like, that is not where you go with people, period, because it's such an intimate journey around
Mm.
fertility. And it's like, I could be picking up that she wants to be pregnant, but I'm bringing up like a sad place and wound and I don't want to do that. Sure enough, she announced her pregnancy like 7 months later. And I was like, thank you for the validation. Like, those are the moments where I'm like,
Yeah.
this has helped me really start to trust it and
Yeah.
annoy the fuck out of the people in my life.
Oh yeah.
Hey, by the way, I happen to know that your energy's messed up in your business.
Yep.
Great news.
Yeah.
They're like, damn it. She's
Can't hide
right.
anything from you. Yeah, it was difficult to accept that I do have clairvoyance because people typically describe it as like you're seeing auras and you're seeing spirits. And
Yeah.
I've always just been able to visualize things.
Mm.
Like as a child in long drives, I would visualize a gymnast doing like flips on the power lines. And there was just this like video that I would watch in
Mm.
my head as this person tumbling and like double flip over the street and just things like that. And so it's always been self generated almost.
Mm.
And I thought everyone could just visualize like that.
Yeah.
And then I was talking with my husband, and he has aphantasia. He can't visualize anything.
Interesting.
He doesn't have an inner voice in his head, to which my response was, well, do you want one? I have like 12. You could have 3 of them if you really want a voice in your head. And it was.
So true.
It is.
Do you want to share mine? Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a
here,
whole house
take
full
it.
of them. I've named them all. Personalities, the whole thing.
Yeah. So it was difficult to actually trust that that was clairvoyance. Was I mean, because in gymnastics I would get these mental blocks where I physically couldn't even visualize myself doing the skill from a
Mm.
third person perspective or from a first person perspective. And those were the skills that First of all, the one skill that I had a big block around ended up being the one that I hurt my shoulder on. So it's like I knew,
Ooh.
I knew that was the one. Um, but yeah, if I couldn't visualize it, that's where I start to be able to, like now with manifestation, if I'm planning a launch, I'm planning a program, I'm planning something, like I can't see it. I
Mm.
can't see the clear steps. I can't see the path. And so that's where I get to go in and clear things of like, okay, what resistance do I have? What block is coming up? And I've learned to work with that. I feel like I can't visualize it. Something's going on. But I really had to learn how to trust the visualization skills that I had because, I thought everyone could just go to the grocery store in their head when someone said visualize an apple. Like, what do you mean you haven't just projected your mind into the grocery store right now? What do you mean you can't see an apple in your
You don't
head?
know exactly which one's going to be yours. Like, obviously, it's to the top left when I walk in.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So, tell me with human design, when you saw the system, did it like, or even just like as you're talking to people, can you see their body graph? Like, you're like, oh, I can see how this energy is probably moving for them.
Sometimes. Yeah,
So interesting.
it's really interesting. I have been able to is it visual? That's interesting.
Or is it just knowing?
It kind of is this knowing.
Hmm.
There's just energetic qualities, but there's also words. I really hear it in people's language. Like I can listen to people talk and I can pretty much tell their aura type, and I can pick up on profiles as well pretty easily. But actually thinking about it like in person, if I can actually see your face and your whole body, I can tell what aura type you are. And it has to do with your face
Hmm.
because I can tell the difference between like bitterness and anger. They look different in your face. There's more like jaw activation with anger, and there's a little bit more of a furrowed brow. And bitterness, it's almost more of a pout. It's like instead of clenching your jaw. And so I'm able to pick up on, like, I love going into stores and just seeing like the employees that are really happy and that are really they're loving their job. I love to see that and I can like feel the radiating sacral energy off of that. And there are certain people that you can just tell that they love their job and there is like a glowing aura around
Yeah.
them. And you can see just the people flocking to them. So yeah, I guess and now that you ask me, I am seeing I'm seeing the signs
So
of aura
interesting.
types. Yeah.
I love what you shared about manifestation, knowing like your critical sense being vision. And
Yeah.
if you don't get to that clarity and that magnetism, you identify that as not a defect of yours, but evidence that there is something that is making it foggy that you get to remove.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great reframe because I think sometimes with intuition, we can get all in our head going, well, if I can't see it, then maybe seeing's not so important to me. And it's like, no, 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 no. It's energy, right? Like if
Mhm.
that's how your energy moves and it's not moving, there's a stickiness there
Yeah.
that makes sense, right? Like it's like a river flowing, like there's obstacles. We move
Mhm.
it. It's not that, oh, gravity failed this time and the river's not going downhill like it's supposed to. It's like, no, 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 that's how energy is supposed to move. Something's in the way.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Can you tell from people's graphs and body charts? And for the listeners, if you have not done your human design chart, highly recommend to go. It's online. You can get it for free. You just have to know your birthplace, your time of birth, and
You
day
can
of
get it
birth,
on
of
my
course.
website.
You can get it on Eden's website. She's got tons of resources if you are like geeking out and like you've always known that personality is so much deeper than like the four major camps of personality, and that there's like a side of you that is personality, aka just energy that we are aware of. And then there's energy we're not aware of that everyone else can see of us, probably faster than we can see in ourselves. And that together that creates this beautiful expression of ourselves. Eden is a genius at making that really complicated system feel accessible. Highly recommend. So yeah, if you want to join in and you're like, oh, what are they talking about? Like they're getting
Yeah.
really specific. Like I told you she was a genius. So we were going to ask a lot of questions about it, but you can go and get that too and support your knowledge of self and the way your
Mhm.
soul's designed to be. So, okay, so going back to, can you see how people block their manifestations like in their chart? Or how would you describe that?
I understand your natural flow of energy, and I can understand where your hesitations might be. Yes. So for
Yeah.
you, you're a sacral authority who is designed to move moment to moment, and you lack self-awareness at all expressions, all levels of expression. In the shadow, we don't know what we're doing. In
So
the
good.
gift, we don't know what we're doing. In the highest frequency of the city, you still lack that self-awareness. And so you are somebody who, if you are picking up on conditioning, you'll think, I don't have the answers. I need to figure this
Mm-hmm.
out. What's that secret that everyone else knows that I don't? You
Mm-hmm.
might tell yourself that I have to be able to feel the feelings of the manifestation before I get it, which may not work for you with an undefined emotional center. There might be like, I have to be like, how do I know that I'm worthy of it? That could be like something where your mind is looking for, I call it an invisible destination, where it's like, what is self-worth? What is self-worth? And then your GPS is like just going to the last known location of self-worth. And you're like, when was the last time I felt worthy? And self-worth isn't real. It's, you can't taste it, you can't lick it, you can't drop it. I don't know if it's going to shatter or bounce. It's physically not something you can have. Self-worth is something that's a fact. You are worthy because you are. And yeah, so I can tell where the blocks might come in. And so for you, you're designed to very specifically know what you want. Your
Yes.
eyes, when you remember things in your past, your eyes visually take in details. So if you were to tell me about like the happiest memory, the happiest moment of your life, yeah, let's do that. What is the happiest moment of your life? And just bring us into that scene. What do you remember?
Oh, the happiest moment of my life was actually in a macro dose mushroom journey where I was so blended with this energy that I would call the divine feminine energy. And I just felt the gift of being able to view like my life and the expression that I get to be in this world is so connected to the divine and is such a pure expression of the divine. And when I'm not in my own way, how much of a gift it is in the world, it just healed a huge part of me that felt like I was different, weird, or not integrated in these ways. And I just felt like radical clarity, so much fucking love for all humans. Like I'm in love with humans and I'm so in love in the way that I get to express that to humans. That's what
Mm,
I would say. It was like such a euphoric moment.
I love that. And it was very detailed of like it was
Yes.
this and you probably remember the day it was. Like if
Yep.
you were to pull up the calendar, you know
Yep.
exactly the date. You probably know, you remember the time of day that the session and the
Yep. I
ceremony was.
remember what I was wearing. I
Yep.
remember there was a fire. I can tell you the special crystal that I was holding in my hand. I can tell you who was with me. I can tell you how I felt, the temperature, like all of it.
Hmm. Yeah. So you remember details. Your visual awareness is drawn to details. I'm the same way where I think about the time where my husband was in training for the military and he was gone for like 6 months. And I got like an email about, I got some sort of discount. Somebody sent me a, hey, I have this like free travel credit that needs to be used. All of the things lined up for me to essentially get a free trip to go visit him, like today. And so I booked the flights and I can tell you, I can see him running towards me. I can tell you the clothing I was wearing, how I did my hair, what socks I had on. Like every single detail is very, very specific. And not everyone memorizes like that. And so how we
Mhm.
remember things is how our minds interact with reality. That's how we want to project into the future as well. So if
Mm.
you're playing with what is it specifically that I want to be manifesting, you want to get specific.
Yep.
You want to get very specific. And so you have details. We want to find those details. I'm pulling up.
Which
And
is true
yeah.
because we just bought a property that's 5.5 acres on the top of a canyon that overlooks, like, I get a peekaboo view of the ocean, but I also get to see all this beautiful BLM land, like hundreds of miles of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see when I manifest, I'm like, I see the dome shaped building that is like Paden's temple. And I get to invite women to join me. Like, and I can see the archway to walk in, and I can see that there's this beautiful fireplace for women to circle. I can literally see and smell and taste and feel
Yeah.
all the details. And it's so real to me. It's just catching up into my reality. Like it's
Yeah.
already there.
Yeah,
as a structure.
exactly. Yeah, you
It's like so
manifest
obvious.
through, you see what's missing. So when
Yeah.
you look out at a
Mm.
blank space, like you're saying, you're just looking out over your property and you can see this vision, your eyes fill in the gaps. They're like, oh, there's a gap here. This is what needs to populate. And so
Mm.
your vision is quite cutting edge, but then it's also with the tone of action. And so it's focused on like what actions need to be taken to make that vision happen. And so you will see like, okay, I could take this action, I could take this action, I could take this action. And I actually want you to like let go of the need to make yourself do those. We're just playing in the realm of possibility. And then we're throwing it back out to the universe because your body is designed to just respond in the moment.
Hmm.
And so we have this awareness of this is what's wanting in the future. These are the actions that could be taken. This is what I'm seeing. This is the vision. And I don't know the steps to get there. I don't know the timeline. I don't know how the present is going to transition into that
Yeah.
because with your 3420, like I said, that lacks self awareness. It's this, oh, my body just started typing and all of a sudden I've been here for 6 hours
Yes.
and I don't know what just happened.
That is literally, I was just doing a clearing, energy clearing before this podcast, and I was trying to describe to my client like how I was able to channel 146 charts with like thousands of data points. And I told her I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have language. I
Yeah.
went into a vortex for 3 days and I emerged, and I'm sure I peed and fed myself and drank water. I know where I was in a location. Like I can say, like I was in this room, there was a whiteboard. I don't know if I used the whiteboard. I probably sure I did, but I don't know how to explain
Yeah.
this experience outside of I walked out with all this that had to be put into format.
Mm.
And that is what I crave as a creative is I just want a tunnel to go into and all the space to dive into with zero interruptions. And I will affirm you and what you said earlier, like having children can create a different experience where like that becomes more rare and more coveted in a
Mhm.
way because it's harder to achieve, but
Yeah.
it's where I'm happiest
Yeah.
in
That
creation form.
nonverbal creative flow. Yeah.
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 Like when
That's
I wrote my
exactly.
book, I was like, I have to have like Fridays from like 10 a.m. until like 3 straight. That was creative day. And so like I would be like, okay, if I'm in a creation day, I have to hack my own biology. And as you've already said, our routines are so important.
Mhm.
There are predictable ways, and probably it's because I've gate 5 identified or like whatever you're going to see in like 3 and the 5, and like you're going to see it. But like I know how to hack my way into flow state
Yeah.
now because I've observed when I do this, I notice every time it gives me this predictable lift. Okay, so if I stack that habit with like 4 or 5 other things,
Mhm.
can I get to that euphoric state? Yes. And sleep is one of them, and like all these different things where like I would really manicure my Fridays because it was the only tunnel I would give myself as a
Mhm.
creative.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
I think back and I'm like, I don't know how I learned human design. Like,
I get that. Okay, tell me more about that. Is that a neurodivergent thing? Like, what is happening? Because
it's,
you do have
yeah.
such a grasp on it
Yeah. I know an obscene amount of human design. It is
and
just,
intuit it too, which I
yeah.
really appreciate about your journey. Is like there's like a institutional bias that exists in the community,
Mhm.
and you really were self taught and really like took the data, the knowledge, and your pattern picker as a neurodivergent to understand like how to like intuit it as well.
Yeah. It's being neurodivergent and the 3420 channel specifically, it is when it's in its power, it is pure presence and power.
Mm.
That's it. It is strength and self assurance, and it doesn't understand where it is. And a great example of this is like we see this channel in a lot of athletes, like Simone Biles has this channel. She's a 2-4 manifesting generator as well,
I knew
with
I liked
the
her.
3420, which is cutting edge. And a great example is like when a mother is lifting a car off their child, like true heroism has no self awareness. It's
Mm.
not, oh, yeah, I stood there and I planned it out and I figured it out and then I did this and this and this. It's like, I don't know, I just moved. I
Mm.
just did the thing. I just did what my body was telling me I have to do right now. And it just happened to turn out as really incredible and heroic. And for me, I was just curious about human design. I was Googling things about my chart. I was getting books about it. I was listening to podcasts. And then I was offering chart readings where I was explaining it and I was studying specific things. And then all of a sudden I was teaching a course on it and I was running a business by it. And it's been, 7, 8 years now. And I've given readings to people who, specifically Kip Winsett, has been studying the system since I was 3 years old. And I was able to teach him new things about the system and how things work and explain how things actually impacted his body because I intuitively connected like my nursing background, my
Mhm.
understanding of energy and psychology with the energy of motivation and things like that. And so was able to say like, yeah, your fear motivation, fear lives in the legs. And so if we have some form of like, if that manifested in an interesting way, like it's possible that you had like leg problems or just tight hamstrings or tight calves or tight thighs because your legs are saying I need to run away. When we have an excess of fear in the body, that's where it's going to manifest, is like tight hips. And he's like, how did you know that I've like had leg problems with this?
Mm.
So it's been, yeah, like I don't know how I learned it. Looking back, I'm like, I was interested. I studied it. I don't have like a personal master notebook with all of my notes. I was just reading, and
Yeah.
somehow my brain absorbed it in a way that I took everything I learned from nursing and just shoved it out of the way and said, Human Design Encyclopedia.
Yeah. Gosh, that's so fascinating.
Mhm.
It leads me from like a soul perspective to, and I'm curious how this lands because I'm just going to blurt this, is it feels to me like you actually are a very advanced energy alchemist from past lives. And so your knowing comes from this really deep reservoir of mastery. And
Mhm.
what's fascinating about being a human is I've had so many people, and I think you've had this more actually because you're younger than me, and there's a thing around your age for some people. Like, how is Eden so smart about this? And she's 20 years younger than me or 15 years younger than me. And it's not about that from a soul level because we come back and and I will say this because I believe a lot of my listeners are actually in this camp. There's a lot of really old masterful souls that have incarnated, a lot of them in human or human form, but yeah, female form, I really believe, as the feminine rise. And so there is reservoir knowledge that's there to be tapped into. And I love the human design system because like you follow your energy source. Like we're both
Mhm.
manifesting generators. So like we have to follow that what lights us up.
Yeah. I have been told, I did a beautiful session with an Akashic Records reader, and they said, You're reading the Akashic Records through the chart.
Yeah,
And I was like,
totally.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yes,
Because,
I feel that about you too. And so it is deep, deep energy work.
mhm,
And I'm finding more and more that energy work as like an umbrella statement is what some of the most intuitive people are really tapping into. And like you said, for the Akashic records, meaning it's like their library of our soul's journey. So every lifetime, every time you've been a spirit guide versus like an incarnated human, or if you've lived lives on other planets, like it's all stored there and all the knowledge, wisdom, and even the emotional triggers and karma. And so what you're picking up on is here's this beautiful system that you can now read where the or the earth school curriculum is for people
yeah,
and intuit maybe why and how and where it's coming from for
yeah.
people.
My favorite is when like people will bring in their clients' charts or their children's charts or their partner's charts, and I'll just say like, "Oh, okay, so they probably do this and this and this and this and da 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 da." Like, how you know them? How do you know them? And I'm like, "Well, it's patterns." I'm
Yes.
seeing them, I'm tapping into their energy field. I am getting to know them through their chart. And yeah, it feels very intuitive. And it has been this thing of like, I don't know how I know it. And sometimes there still is that doubt of, I just figured this out on my own. This just resonates with me. Is this the ultimate truth? Is this correct according
Hmm.
to human design? And that's been one of the lessons that I've just had to move through and embody is like, yes, if this is my truth, if this is what's coming through me, of course I can trust it. And especially if it's resonating with and giving people that breakthrough that they need. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care if I'm saying the exact words that the
Yeah.
creator of the human design system said. I'm going to
Mm.
say it in a way that's going to resonate and land in your soul. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that is spoken as a high priestess, like full on. That is just you and your power going, I am using this, the masculine structure of a chart,
Mhm.
and I'm blending my feminine intuition to give it even more like potency in this moment. And you're trusting that. I love that. I feel like some of these tools that we, in our human, we wrestle with the language and getting it perfect. And some of them are really just containers
Mhm.
and structure and form that are meant to be danced in.
Yeah.
And I've always heard people say, like, if you're really a master at something, you can dance in the principles of it because you know the principles enough to know the
Yes.
components of a dance.
Yeah. You no longer need a structure if we're going to start with this
Right.
and then this, then this. I love sessions. I'm like, okay, what have you been going through lately? What's going on? Just talk to me. And then we weave in whatever details they need. But at this point, because I do know everything in the chart, it's like I don't know where to start.
Yeah, totally. Just
There
like you
isn't
wouldn't
a start
know
point.
with a soul
Yeah.
library with someone, where do we go? Like I do the same in my energy healings with people. Is be like, so what is present for
Hmm.
you that feels sticky, that you just
Yeah.
want a presence?
Yeah.
And I'll make like a list of like the 5 things, and then we'll just let like the spirit guides choose where
Hmm.
is the start. And sometimes the choice is none of that. We'll cover all of it, but it's not coming from where you think it's coming from. It's coming from somewhere
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah.
And I think that is why I like energy work. I'm just making this connection. I think it is the 20 to 34 channel around being in the moment where, like, it is actually, I'm in my most power when I know the least amount about something,
Yeah.
which is a very uncomfortable place for me historically.
There's a song by Breathe Carolina that my husband and I loved that band when we were in high school. But they have this song that's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know how to do it. And
Yes.
that is the definition. I'll play that song when I'm in that 3420
Yes.
because it really is. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know what to do
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So my husband Michael has the same sorry, he has 10 30. No, he has 10 20. So he doesn't
Yeah,
have the charisma, but he has like the more of like
the
self-aware
presence.
piece and the
Hmm.
presence, but it's his only active gate in his throat.
Mm.
So when he goes to present, this was like the hugest thing. He would, of course, like all of us perfectionists, recovering perfectionists in the world, would sit there and memorize everything, like even map out our hand gestures to like make it a choreographed performance. Like we thought, like if it was the more choreography, the better it'll land. Well,
Mhm.
not if you have that. If like that's your way that your throat wants to express, it means that you really have to trust that in the moment you will know exactly what to say and how to say it.
Yeah.
So go stand on stage and no plan. Try to put slides together. That's going to be real fun. And then just trust that you can read the energy in the room and know what to say.
Yeah.
But as soon as he started doing that, people would come up to him and go, that was the greatest presentation. He was like, half the time I don't even know what I just said.
Hmm.
So cool.
Yeah. It's like when we were prepping those presentations for Spotlight Energetics, I was freaking out. I
Mm,
rewrote that so many times. I was trying to come up with a script. I was mad that we had the time limit. I'm like, it's not going
yeah.
to work out. And then as soon as I got up there, I'm like, okay, I forgot everything I'm supposed to say. I'm just talking to my friends. It's going to go great. I kind of know where we're going. And it was so fun.
Totally. I had the
I
same
don't
thing
remember what
happen
I
to
said.
me. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't even remember, but like then I saw our friend Cheryl just go full in and I was like, oh, I'm committed. Like, and I just went into like
Yeah.
a full in like theater kid like
Yeah. You
experience and I
handed me
loved
the
it.
rose. And I'm like, I don't want to
I
break
know I
it.
handed you a rose. That's right. I did have that prop. Oh, that was fun. So Eden and I went through a really cool program with our mentor, Allison Bird, around activating your voice to be medicine, really is what it is. And there's just been a lot of trauma, I think, for me, first of all, about my voice. And I've actually been made fun of a lot for it,
Hmm.
which is fascinating to go back and go, oh, isn't it fascinating that the places where we felt picked on as kids or even in our 20s
Yeah.
holds so much transformation for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I even had roommates. This like hurt my feelings so deeply. And like, I ended up telling them and they like apologized because they're like, we're so sorry. They like dumped chocolate fondue on me in the shower one time because I was singing too loud. And it hurt my feelings because there has always been a part of me that loves my voice,
Mhm.
actually loves singing, and would like love to be in a karaoke performance.
Yeah.
But I have gotten the most criticism for people going, you sing off key, you're way too loud, I hear you before I see you, you're so obnoxious, stop singing in the shower. And literally all of this trauma for my throat. And then recently I've had people since that program tell me, your voice, there's something about your voice that feels
Mhm.
like medicine. And every time they say it, I'm like, God, thank you, because that has been a hard one for me.
Yeah. With all of that fifth line or fifth color and tone energy, with like the feeling, the voice, the valleys, and the 3420, your voice is so powerful. But also, gate 20 is your conscious sun.
Yeah,
The
totally.
gate in your throat center is 70% of your magnetism and personality.
Yes.
It's just being present.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
just being present. It's such a good lesson because I said the control freak in me was just like not here for presence. It was like, no, like the more anxious, the more distressed, and the more like stress in my body, the more I'm going to rise to the challenge. And it's like actually not feeling
Yeah.
good. All that test anxiety, like all of the anxiety that came with me trying to perform everywhere.
Yep. Yeah, I was told when I was younger, like, oh, you're not afraid of the spotlight, are you? And we were in a photography class, and people were like, oh, will somebody like sit here and do this? And like, I already had the pictures I needed. So I was like, sure, I'll do it. And so I was just like letting them take pictures and using my hand and things like that. And the teacher said to my mom, like, oh, I was in a homeschool co-op. It's not an
Oh,
actual
I know.
photography class. Yeah. Like, oh, she's not afraid of the spotlight. And something about that, because I didn't think that you could be afraid of attention. I was like, that's
Right.
someone needs, I'll do it. Sure. I just volunteered. And then I had this realization, like, oh no, like I'm letting people watch me. And it had this like
Mm-hmm.
this fear of liking the spotlight and the fear of
Mm-hmm.
being the center of attention. And I was like, okay, I have to tamp this down because apparently that's not a good thing. That's something people will judge you for. And I've realized, no, I thrive on attention. I do.
Yeah.
It's great. It activates magic in me, and it's usually
Mm.
pulling out something really valuable for the other person as well.
Right. The reciprocity of that. And it's so
Mhm.
true. When we're lit up, people are drawn to it, and we're drawn to other people that are in their power. And I think
Yeah.
that's why competition doesn't exist in real life, because like actually you being magical just like writes a permission slip I didn't even know I needed to see to be like
Yeah.
yes. And the more of us that are doing it, and I'm just feeling so much more sisterhood in the collective, and it's like healing so much of the wounds around people feeling like I'm taking up too much spotlight. It's so
Mhm.
fascinating you said that. I just had a memory of like even around my dinner table growing up, my mom had three extroverted kids and two introverted kids to manage, and she was an introvert herself. And so there was always this like, she felt so sad for like, I think the more introverted siblings, and they didn't feel sad. They loved hearing the talkative ones talk about their day. And like, if I were to ask them today, like, did you feel like we took up too much space? They would say, no, actually, I enjoyed hearing your stories of the day. But my mom was really trying to create like equality, and she would tell us to be quiet a certain part of every night, stop talking, you're talking too much, and would force the other two to talk. And everyone hated it. But like you could see what she was trying to do. It was like the introvert mom trying to like let her
Yeah.
little fledgling introverts shine. And they didn't
Mhm.
want to shine. That wasn't how they shined, it was not put them in the spotlight and say, dazzle us. And the
Yeah.
rest of us felt like we were wrong for being dazzling. And so it was just like this whole awkward dinner thing for years. Years.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that, especially because like you process things verbally. And
Yes.
so with that 3420, you were probably just, I need to talk about my day in order to get all of the energy that I absorbed from my day out.
Yes.
And the other kids in your family were, they processed it. And speaking and having to be in that spotlight was actually like conditioning for them. You can see your mom's conditioning of if I'm going to be a good parent, I need to make sure everything is fair, everything
Yes.
is equal, everything is balanced. And true equality is not everyone gets the same amount of time. It's everyone gets the perfect amount of time for them to
Mm.
express that energy. And Amanda Frances talks about her relationships with her children and her stepchildren. And she says, no, I don't have like a better relationship with my biological or stepchildren. Like I have a different relationship with every single one of those children because I'm meeting them with their needs. I'm meeting them
Yeah.
where they are and I'm trying to provide them with whatever it is that they need. And that's going to look different for absolutely every child.
It's so
Mhm.
true. My kids are obsessed with equality. And I'm like, oh, wow. I feel like that's like some ancestral wound that we've just all
Yeah.
inherited because I also have like a sense of justice complex, I would have called it. But now I look at it as no, I do want people to be treated well and
Mhm.
fairly. And then Michael always has this phrase of fair is not equal and equal is not fair. And like no one totally gets like sometimes like so then what is it? Like if it's not that, then what? Then what? And my daughter would be like, "Well, I need more time." And I'm like, "Yes, but you also need more alone time." So
Mhm.
she'll be like, "Why do you play with Jackson more than me?" I'm like, "Because Jackson comes up and asks me to. He's my manifesting generator kid. He's all in the connection and like he's got the charisma channel and like he just wants to play now with everyone."
Yeah.
And she is my projector child. Her conscious sun is gate 19. So like super high sensitivity and like she wants to be alone, but then she'll feel like no one's hanging with her. And I'm like, oh, but you actually are honoring yourself by spending this time. So, and then my husband as a projector will be like, Paden, you have to remember to invite Kennedy to join
Yeah.
you because she actually will wait for the invitation. Whereas
Yeah.
Jackson
She's
will just
waiting for
nag
the
at me and pull
invitation.
on me until I join him,
Yep.
which works for me because I'm a manifesting generator. So I'm like, I'm sure I do that to
Yeah.
people too.
Yeah.
I
Give you
hound
something to
you until
respond
you
to.
come with me.
Exactly. Yeah, as a manifesting generator can initiate as well. And so I love that your daughter is 19 as her conscious sun. That's my husband's
Mm,
conscious sun. And so yeah, it's beautiful. It's very tender.
hmm.
She is probably going to be very into animals and have
She is.
an intuitive, she can
Yeah.
communicate with
She
animals.
can.
She
She
does.
tells me I
Yeah.
speak cat. And I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? I am fully on board. And the other night, she was channeling light language from her alien sister. So there's also that. I'm like, girl, you are so awesome. And it's been the sweetest thing at bedtime as I balance their chakras every night. And we
Mhm.
call in energy protection so that they know how to protect their little intuitive little selves. And then we'll do intuition practice. And it's awesome.
Oh, I love that.
It's so sweet. And I think I'm probably telling you that because that's in your future as well. Like it's a
Yeah.
sweet moment to like witness your kid in their gift and play
Mhm.
with, okay, how does their intuition work? All the senses and just ask little questions. Nothing's wrong. Just tell me what you're getting.
Yeah.
And it's
Mm.
fun. But yeah, with animals, I can say, like, I want you to picture this animal. What are you getting from them? And she'll
Mhm.
just riff. And I'm like, you're probably on that. Like, I can't go outside and verify that's what's happening with this animal, but like, I really want to right now.
Yeah, that
So
gate 19
fascinating.
is the gate of the animal whisperer.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I really feel I've been manifesting as part of my vision around this new property is horses.
Ooh.
And Michael is like, damn, like these horses, they're like $500 a month each. Like, how many do you need? I'm like, I'm going to need three.
Mhm.
Like, obviously. They're pack animals. They can't be
Yeah,
alone. Like we need at least
right.
two, and I want to have my own. Like, so, and the kids both want theirs, and you don't need to have one. So we've just had this whole thing, and I'm like, I know she needs them actually. And then there was this beautiful healer in South Africa that does energy work with her horses, and she puts these tables. Have you seen her? She puts these tables out there in the pasture, and these horses come, and they're like these
I have
energy
seen that.
healers, the horses,
Yeah.
and they're like healing the energy body, and she's witnessing it, and she's speaking to like the horse. She's like totally choreographing this whole thing, and I'm like, oh, I feel that. Like a
Mhm.
horse's nervous system is so regulating.
It is. They're so
So how
majestic.
fascinating. Yeah. So see what you already know because my daughter has that conscious sun. It's so good. So tell me a little bit about this slow down in what's coming. And you mentioned something earlier about this, what's happening for humanity energetically in a year and a half from now. Share with me what you mean by that.
Yes. So we are shifting in a global cycle, and I'm not going to get too much into the degrees in the astrology because it goes over my head sometimes and it's too detailed. But basically in 2027, the major themes that we are going to be experiencing as a collective are going to shift from what we call the cross of planning to the cross of what's now the sleeping phoenix, but in 2027 will just be the phoenix because it will be awakened at that point.
Mm.
And so basically, if you look at our society, over the last 200-ish years, there has been this theme of there's four specific energetics. We have skills, so it's like mastering things over time. We have focus, and then we have like family and community energy. And so if you think about it, over the last few hundred years, it really was, what do you have to do to fit in with your family? How can you honor your family? Are you honoring the family legacy? Are you working in the family business? Have you planned to get the job, mastered the skill, and done that one thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again for the rest of your entire life? And we're shifting into the cross of the phoenix, which is your incarnation cross. And I have half of it because we can do personal and interpersonal.
Mm-hmm.
They shift and change all the time. So I have half of the cross of planning and half of the
Mm.
cross of the sleeping phoenix. So I'm this fun
Interesting.
bridge
Yeah.
energetically. And so in the cross of the phoenix, what we're stepping into is we have the 3420 channel. So everyone is going to experience this lack of self awareness, but with the desire of creating change and understanding that we just have to surrender in the present moment. And when we do surrender, all of a sudden that magic does come through us. And I've been pretty much telling my mind that my body is the final, like my body is intuitive. And so if I have physically taken an action, then it has to be perfect because my body let it happen.
Mm.
And so if my mind is saying, I have to do this, I should do this, I shouldn't do that, whatever it is, if my body physically ends up doing it or not, that is perfect. So we will have 20 and 34, and then we will have 59 and 55. 59 is about intimacy and honesty around what it is that you actually like. And it starts with personal intimacy. And we could talk about essentially it's part of the channel of intimacy. And so it does relate to sex, it relates to relationships, it relates to tribal community family building energy. And so 59 says in its shadow, I'm going to lie about what I want to make other people happy. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to dishonor my desires in order to figure it out. And I think about like consent as such a great example. It's like, well, we haven't in a while. I guess I could kind of get myself in the mood instead of honoring my body is not in the mood. It's a no
Mm-hmm.
for me right now. And so we also get to really get honest about who we really are and the identities that are wrapped up in that. And so we have 55 as well, which moves from the shadow of victimhood into the gift of freedom and the city of freedom as well. And so what we're going to see is this story of people are going to get radically honest about what it is that they want to do and what it is that they don't want to do. And it's going to require self intimacy. And I think that's why a lot of us are slowing down in the present moment, is because we have to know in our souls what it is that's actually lighting us up, what we are truly turned on by, so that we can commit to that and we can feel the freedom that can come from that. We can follow those intuitive actions to make that our new reality. And with the 55, we're moving from the shadow of victimhood into the gift of freedom. And so this is a big gate in the whole transition. This is where we're going to see a lot of mutations happening. The body graph is changing. We're going to see, like, we're seeing neurodivergency because as humans, the emotional center in human design is reactive. Emotions create energy, and it's a motor center. And in our society, we don't need that anymore.
Mm.
We are having emergency level threats to emails and to text messages and to things that don't actually need that big of an energy. And so we're seeing a rise in neurodivergency right now because there's people who have emotional awareness without emotional reactivity. And so a lot of the work that we are here to do is not necessarily to build this new world, to create something new. The kids that are going to be born after 2027 are going to be coded to build their own world. We don't have to do anything for them. They're going to come online and they're going to have it figured out. We need to fit into their society. We
Mm.
need to be nervous system regulated enough so that we can live in a world where the future is emotionally aware and not emotionally reactive. Because
Mm.
right now, the nervous system is designed to, you feel something, that emotion takes over your body. We create a big energy and we take action from it. And that was a survival instinct that was so necessary for us. And we live in a world now where rejection is inevitable. With the invention of the internet, we are so connected that there is going to be somebody who is going to disagree every single time. So we're going to see a rise of personal sovereignty, of I am not a victim of society. I don't have to fit in. I don't have to find normal. We're going to see a rise of individuality, which says my intuition says this is what I need to do. This is what's right for me. And I don't care what you say. I am not a victim of the system that you are saying I am. I am not a victim of whatever it is that you say I am. I'm not a victim of my own emotions. I am feeling this for a reason and I can use this emotion for good. So we're going to see a lot of individuality and we're seeing emotion and the nervous system change. And that's why so many of us feel really dysregulated right now, is because one, all of these eclipses, all of this energy.
I love your cat right now.
Me too. She's like, I need all the attention. She
It's
just
so good.
put her head against my heart. That was the sweetest little
She's like,
thing.
Mama's channeling. Look at this.
Yeah.
I want to be in it. I'm like, just go. You're like such a transmission right now, Eden.
Yeah,
It's
let's
so
get back
good.
into it. Um, So, yeah, we're going to see this rise of individuality because our nervous system isn't built for the world that we've grown into. We have so much connection and we are exposed to so much information that we don't have the capacity to take every emotion we feel and react to it. Because if we're scrolling through TikTok for 5 minutes, you've seen 40 videos.
Mm.
All one of those videos brought up some form of emotion. And we
Mm.
want to be able to be aware of that without letting the emotion take over our body. And so the kids that are going to be born in the next couple of generations are going to have this, what we now consider an almost autistic level of emotion, where they understand it. It's very intellectual, but it's not reactive. And so that is what we're moving into. And so many people feel really dysregulated because we need to build the skills to regulate our motorized
Yeah.
emotions so that we can raise these children and fit into the society that's going to be built by them very quickly. And
Mm.
so that's what I see is like we don't have to create the change. The change is going to happen. These children will come in, these next generations will come
Yeah.
in. They will have these skills, they will have these mutations, and we are just here to help with that transition, to help with the ending and the falling apart of the things that are not working, and supporting the people who are in the middle of all of this chaos, because it feels chaotic and it feels a lot, and there's going to be so much emotion brought up for every individual person. And so we want to be able to, like, that's why a lot of us are slowing down,
Mm-hmm.
regulating ourselves, not being extra reactive to all of the things that we're going through in our world right now, and especially in our country right now. We can't be reactive to that because we're preparing for what's coming. And yeah, that's the transmission just stopped. So
Yeah,
that's
that was perfect. It makes me realize how proud I am of the generation of parents right now and of people coming in, because there is this sense of cycle breaking that's really fierce right now. And
so
it's breaking it's like the strongest, what I keep getting is the strongest of souls said yes to bridge this timeline and to, with our bodies, bring forward the future that I believe 100% with you. They're bringing the technology, they're bringing the solutions. They are so coded for what they're volunteering for, which is to rebirth. And what we were coded for was to to bridge between the transition that's really physically hard on us. We're going through physical upgrades. We're going through cycle breaking shit shows in our families of origin. And we're doing it like we're strong warrior energies is who's here right now. And I am so proud of the generation that's doing it, because it's like, oh, women, we can make money. Oh, and we can be it all. And that's impossible. And we're going to have these kids, and we're going to regulate our nervous systems, and we're going to move from surviving to thriving,
and we're going to build businesses.
And we're going to build businesses, and we're going to like waken our souls to our magic. And it's like, holy moly. And I'm seeing people doing it. And I'm seeing a lot of people doing it. And I'm like, okay, there is just like a really unique caliber to the energies that are here right now. And I'm just so grateful to witness it.
Me too. We definitely said, you know what would be really fun? Let's incarnate here.
Yeah.
It'll be a blast.
Let's go into this shit show over here in America in these bodies.
Really chaotic. I'm gonna live in a red state too. It's gonna be hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Right. It's a whole different level. It is fascinating to be in this moment in time and to feel the importance of it, and to see and honor so many wise voices using their voice. And I just feel like it's such a deep privilege to witness people in their power. And you're one of those people, Eden, that I really feel like is a transmission and is a genius and is here working your energy magic on people. And it is beautiful to witness. So I'm so grateful that you're here in Planet and in this podcast.
Thank you. I'm so glad that we got to connect. And you're mentioning we should talk later about all of the work that we're doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm going to bring you back many, many, many times, because as a true manifesting generator, your pivots are just here, like to continue in their merry way as you feel excited about life. And I joke with Michael all the time. He's like, I just went to a networking event and somebody asked me what you do. And I like didn't know how to describe it. And I'm like, welcome to my life.
Yep. Constantly.
I don't always know how to describe it either.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I help people to the best of my abilities.
Right. I have a podcast. I talk a lot, and And then I've been recently getting into more and more mastery around pendulums and energy, and really owning the energy piece of the technology. And then that's felt like a deep awakening and healing, and it's been fun. But it's always evolving, and it's part of what makes it entertaining and confusing, I think, sometimes, to explain to people what's going on.
We don't need to know what's going on. We just get to be present in the moment, and when our body moves, we move. Right. I'm just being a human. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. I'm a old soul in this human body, fully here. Mm-hmm. And following. You're doing a phenomenal job. You have a 100% success rate. You've survived every single day as this human. Every single one of them, 100%. I'm seriously stealing that. I am so successful as a human. I am still here on Earth. This is a total win for the moment. Yeah. Thank you. And here we go. Survived every single day that I've been alive. Yeah. And continuing to figure it out every day that I'm alive. So good. Well, thank you for being on the podcast, Eden. Thank you. This was so fun. That's a wrap on another episode of 100% Woo Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me for today's magical journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit subscribe button so you never miss a drop of spiritual wisdom. I'd love to connect with you on social. You can find me on Instagram or TikTok at Paden Hughes, PADEN HUGHES, for more inspiration and insights. And if you found value in today's episode, please consider leaving your review. Your feedback means the world to me personally. I read each and every one, and it just so happens to help us reach more women like you ready to step into their magic. Until next time, keep shining your light.